Hello everyone, welcome back to the MTG Goldfish Podcast, episode 131, your weekly podcast covering everything Magic the Gathering related. Your hosts, as always, Richard, the owner of MTG Goldfish. What's up, Richard?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, our resident jank brewer and all-around content creator for Magic the Gathering. What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on, guys?
What is up? And Chaz, all-around content creator focusing on the financial aspect. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, mtggoldfish.com, and now on YouTube. On the docket, the first SCG Open with Hour of Devastation is in the books, so we're going to talk about the new standard with Hour of Devastation. Again, Aetherworks Marvel is gone, so we got to see a pretty fresh take on standard. So we're going to give our thoughts. That will lead us into a pretty odd announcement on a Sunday. So for everyone that hasn't seen it by now, it is on the daily update for Monday. They are changing the FNM program, so you can go read more particulars, but we're going to get all into that. And then we're going to wrap things up with some fish mail. So, jumping right in, what did either of you watch the SCG Open, and just general thoughts on what you think of Standard so far? Richard?
So I did not get to watch the SCG Open, so I get to read the metagame page on Monday morning to see Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh in the first place deck, 4-color control, and it looks pretty diverse. Now, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Usually the first couple of weeks of Standard, it looks wide open, looks like anything can go, but then the Pro Tour comes and we get our metagame, and then it's a totally different story. But for now, things look interesting. Nicol Bolas face card is in one of the decks, so I'm pretty pleased with that.
Absolutely, yeah, it does look fun. Seth, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Standard looks great. I think I got to see some of the SCG event. I didn't get to see as much as I would have liked because I had some other stuff going on too, but I got to watch some on Saturday, a little bit on Sunday. I caught the finals and a little bit earlier in the day, so it looked good. The format is diverse. We have a lot of the old decks still hanging around, some really old decks coming back, like the Emerge decks. Plus, we get some new stuff. We see, like, Mono Red Aggro being fairly legitimate. We have Control kind of not only winning the tournament, but there's a couple other control decks too, thanks to Hour of Devastation. We see Ramp making a bit of a comeback, thanks to Hour of Promise. So, like Richard said, I don't know. When week one is bad, it's not a good idea to overreact to it and say Standard is horrible. But when week one is great, it's probably not a good idea to react and say Standard is amazing. So I'm encouraged, but I think we got to wait and see what the next few weeks, and especially the Pro Tour, look like.
Yeah, I think that last part there is kind of, we don't want to get too excited, and then, but at the same time, it is encouraging. The fact that the card pool, people are utilizing these cards. Anytime I see mono red, like, no matter what, it's a good thing, because that is a sight that we haven't seen in a while. At least very kind of an aggressive strategy like this, just turning creatures sideways. And as an aggressive player, I'm happy to see that. Same as Richard, it's nice to see Nicol Bolas, God Pharaoh, being utilized in the 4-color control list by Michael Hamilton. And then all the way down, we're seeing some great archetypes come back, like the Emerge list utilizing Champion of Wits and other cards. And we're kind of actually seeing a switch. We're seeing Mardu vehicles, but also it's kind of shifting into Esper a little bit too, because I saw a few of these Esper lists, more notably by Donovan Madison. I don't know if I'm probably saying that wrong, but it seemed really sweet. It was kind of like a very tempo-y aggro list with all your, Thraben Inspectors and Toolcraft Exemplars and Heart of Kirans, and then you get to use like Spell Quellers and stuff like that. So seemed really awesome, and I hope it at least stays this way until the Pro Tour, and then hopefully through the Pro Tour it just continues on. But I have a good outlook for this Standard.
Yeah, interesting stat to throw out there. So from the top 64 decks, the most played card is a Braid. That's the lightning strike for a creature / destroy an artifact. It's actually played more than Fatal Push. It's 53% of decks. And also Chandra is creeping up there. played in 35% of decks. So Chandra, Torch of Defiance, just slightly under Gideon in terms of number of copies played, but actually played in more decks than Gideon.
That is interesting. One thing I was wondering about, and I don't know if you guys have any opinions on this, but what do you think about Hour of Devastation cards in specific? Like, from watching the coverage, yes, there was one Nicole Bolas in the deck that won. Yes, Hour of Devastation is really important to control. Champion of Wits, Chaz mentioned, in the merge decks, and also Hour of Promise in the ramp decks, but what did you think of the impact of Hour of Devastation on the first tournament it was legal? Are you happy with it? Was it enough? Not enough?
It's like barely present. It's like one card in a few decks, but it is a small set, and I don't know what more you would expect, because it's not like there's a new mechanic or something to build a deck around. So it's kind of just like, you find some solid cards, you slot them into decks. So I think it's doing what it's supposed to do for a small set, but it's not. I don't think it's going to fundamentally shake up the metagame due to its new mechanics or anything like that.
Yeah, I think just the mere fact that the card exists, it doesn't need to be utilized, but just the mere fact that it exists kind of is already dictating, at least like in this mono aggro list I look at, you're kind of leaning heavier on the curve. You're trying to use Hazaret, 4 copies or 3 copies.
Wait, what card are you talking about?
Hour of Devastation.
Oh, the actual card, Hour of Devastation.
Yeah. Is that what?
That's
well,
fine.
no. I have no idea what Seth was asking, because I forgot there was a card called Hour of Devastation.
I thought it was something along those lines, because I didn't actually see a ton of them. Especially, I don't even think it was played in the 4-color control list.
I was actually wondering about the set Hour of Devastation and the impact that it had, but the card Hour of Devastation is an interesting topic too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here we go. Hour of Devastation in Hour of Devastation is having an impact.
Like bad naming. Why would you do this, Watsy?
But yeah, I think it is having an impact. It's so funny because Seth and I, and to a lesser extent, I mean, I was talking to you. I watched you guys talk about the modern cards, and it was just like really hard to come together with some of these cards. And you are seeing the Abrade. You are seeing some utilization of like Earthshaker Kenra and Champion of Wits that are like revitalizing a lot of archetypes. So I think on the already it's having an impact, and then you have some cards that, while they haven't been used, are making their presence known because it's kind of dictating some of the deck building as well. You see this red list utilizing a lot of these 5-drops and these kind of heavier curve, just because you want to have either Indestructible with Hazaret, you want Haste with the Reality Smashers and Glorybringer. You don't want to get blown out by certain cards.
I think overall I'm okay with the impact for a small set, and I think we really underestimated Earthshaker Kenra. I think one of the things that we had said was like, 6 mana is so much. How much are you actually going to be able to get it back from your graveyard? And from the games I saw on camera, it actually happened not infrequently. Like, yeah, sometimes you get a great draw and just kill your opponent, but there were definitely some games where it got gummed up, and having the ability to get back Earthshaker Kenra was really good. The other thing worth pointing out is, kind of surprisingly, the deserts are hugely important. There are so many deserts showing up in these decks. I think just the mono red deck has 9 deserts in it, and that's true of a lot of archetypes are playing some number of the desert lands, especially things with Eldrazi. It's very helpful. But just having the monocolored cycling lands or these free roll deserts, the desert pain lands that give you a little bit of extra reach, you can get in a couple of damage, or the black one that lets you kill a little creature. It seems like those were kind of underrated from a constructive perspective as well.
Yeah, I think it was either in our prep for the video, Seth, or in the video or on a podcast, we mentioned that there was a non-zero chance some of these deserts would kind of revitalize and kind of make this push for all these Eldrazi's again. And you're absolutely right. I mean, 9 deserts in the mono red list, but I mean, when you think about it, Sunscorched Desert's a free damage. Then you have Ramunap Ruins, I believe I'm saying that right, hopefully. And it just adds that reach that time and time again, I said on the podcast, Red did not have, that they just can't close out these games without some direct damage. And here we are, that's just in your land base. So that's actually really awesome that so early on that people are recognizing that in deck building. I mean, that's just great.
That's actually, if you have those 2 deserts, that's 5 damage between just those 2 cards in your lands, which is a quarter of your opponent's life total. So the deserts are fairly powerful if you can actually utilize them, which, since you're playing mono red, then you're good to go, because you got red mana, and then just having a colorless land, your utility lands, doesn't really hurt your mana base. There aren't too many double red cards in that deck.
Yeah, certainly looking great for mono red to make a comeback here. I am so happy, because it is something that I really do think the format needs a viable, aggressive list like this. I mean, we had zombies. Zombies, I don't think in the open... Oh, okay, so 7th, Adam Bowman. And then again, I think in the open... so zombies is still around. So you have a couple good aggressive lists, and I think that's great. Because, you kind of want all these archetypes represented.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited. We've kind of talked about this before recently, how it seems like we might have finally gotten over the hump, and it took a few months and a lot of bannings, but we're finally there. And the week 1 of Hour of Devastation doesn't really change my hope for the format, and I'm actually pretty excited. This is the first time in a while, like, we're 2 weeks away now, less than 2 weeks from a Pro Tour, and this is the first time in a while that I haven't been like, oh, well, it's gonna be, Bant Company, it's gonna be Aetherworks Marvel, we already know what's gonna happen, but maybe we'll get lucky and see a new deck. I actually feel like, oh, this might be an interesting Pro Tour. Unfortunately, it's in the dead middle of the night in my time zone, so I'm going to be miserable, but I'm actually excited to see what decks come out of it, and it hasn't been like that for a few Pro Tours.
Wait, which country is hosting the Pro Tour?
Japan. It literally starts at like 9 p.m. my time. Oh my god.
It's going to be brutal. So brutal.
Hey, we had a few good ones for our time zone, so now it's the rest of the world's chance to not have to stay up in the middle of the night to find out what the top decks of Standard are.
My goodness. But yeah, and I think the great thing is trying to build this momentum and having this Standard kind of even just go right through the summer into Ixalan. And I think it's just really important to kind of to look at the Pro Tour. Hopefully that even makes things more fresh, and then we just continue right on to Ixalan, because again, not trying to talk about it too much, at least from a card standpoint, it looks like it's just going to create yet another great interesting shift in Standard. So I'm really excited. Seth, Richard, one more question before we kind of move on. If you had to pick, what do you feel is an archetype that can kind of just keep this momentum going right through and even during the Pro Tour? Is there a strong list you feel like, that's already, I can see that, propping up in like 2 weeks?
Oh, man.
I'll take the easy way out. There will be a control deck. And I'm going to say it'll be Jeskai. I think blue-red are the strongest control colors today, and white just gives you a little extra. So someone's going to show up with a control deck.
Yeah, I think I agree about the control deck. I'm going to go with Ramp. I think that that's a deck that people maybe haven't figured out yet. And one thing we've consistently seen ever since the Eldrazi kind of came into Standard is one thing pros tend to do is figure out how to cast Eldrazi as fast as possible. We saw that with Emrakul, with Delirium decks, we saw it with Aetherworks Marvel. So I'm going to go with Green-Red or some sort of ramp deck looking to cast like turn 5 Ulamogs and win that way.
Are you telling me you'll be happy with the results if they break the ramp deck and then turns out you can turn 4 Ulamog people still?
I'm not hoping for it, but it wasn't what I was hoping for, right? It was a prediction. I hope that doesn't happen. Also, I think the Monument deck is sweet, and I could see people playing that because that's a fun deck to play. Has a lot of grindy card advantage, so I could see that being a deck at the Pro Tour as well.
Yeah, I do like that Monument list. I'm gonna it's a split decision, mostly just because it's cool. And I don't know why. It's like every time we just see Elder Deep Fiend like on like the cusp looking in. It's just such a powerful card. And I think Champion of Wits is that like key piece that can bring this archetype back together. It looked really strong, and I think it can do some awesome stuff. But I have to pull for the mono red list just because I have to choose like just an all-out aggressive deck, and hopefully it continues on even during the Pro Tour because it looks awesome. I think it can continue to be built upon and streamlined a little bit more.
I don't know. I'm all for the mono red hype, but it's playing 24 lands and has 5 drops. It's like almost big red.
Yeah, well, red in any form at this point, a mono red list is
all
fine.
Right, break out those Arabian Nights mountains.
There we go.
We only need 15 this time. You have like 9 deserts.
Yes. Moving on, so there was an announcement about FNM promos and how they're changing. Seth, do you want to take us through the actual announcement?
Okay, so the big takeaway was FNM promos are going away. So instead of having FNM promos, we're going to have two-sided tokens, and I believe there's a new one each month, and they're also changing, I guess, FNM level organized play or store level organized play, so it's going to roughly line up with set releases now. So we're going to have like tournaments that go through, and then we're going to have a store championship at the end of a set's life, which is replacing game day, I believe, that's going to be no longer. So instead, we're going to have store championships at the end of a set before a new set releases. First one, New Year's Eve. So mark that on your calendars if you don't have any other plans. But the big thing that people kind of freaked out about was the end of FNM promos. Also, some new sweet basics in the standard showdown pack, some foil basics, which are cool. But the big thing was FNM promos. So what's your thoughts? FNM promos gone. Instead, double-sided foil tokens.
It's terrible. Like, why would they do this? Everyone's like, yeah, we need more playable FNM promos. We need more exciting cards as opposed to, random fodder. And they decided to give us double-sided tokens. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, was this cutting into the single sales at your LGS? Like, I'm so confused. They should be throwing, like, Path to Exiles in there and not giving me, a clue token. So I have no idea what they're doing, and I just don't know why they're doing this, and it just really kills all incentive to go to FNM. Right? If you're not going to win something sweet, you can just stay at home and play with your friends. Like, why do you need to go to the store, right? So I don't see why this works. They should be giving us textless lightning bolts, right? But instead now they're giving us weird tokens. So I'm confused.
That they knew they would catch some flack for this when they release this announcement on a Sunday. So that's
what's
first
with that
and
timing?
foremost.
They're like, oh, no one's gonna notice this. Like,
we'll just slip this on a Sunday and no one will notice. I don't like that, and I think you actually, all joking aside, and I think you brought that up, Seth, that here we are, like, they're having such great transparency, and they're having, like, such a great kind of run on this, and then they do this weird stuff like this. I don't understand that you can just renounce it, and you're going to catch flack for it, because, again, listen, I get it. Wizards doesn't always do bad, and I normally side with Wizards kind of more recently because, Magic players do really have, unrealistic expectations. They just do. And I'm kind of against all this, you can have your cake and eat it too thing because you can just never win from Wizards' perspective, and I get that. But this is a weak move. I just don't understand. If you're going to replace it with something better, great. But this change, you're just at parity or negative. So why not just make it just all comes down to why not just make better FNM promos? And it's just not about the value. You can go and have a great time and socialize with people and get a good promo. Pokemon seems to do it. I see these promos getting handed out. I don't know if they're good cards, but they seem cool. Why can't they just do, if other card games are doing this in a digital age where people can just stay at home and play Hearthstone or Shadowverse and all these games, you want to entice people to come out, go to their LGS, take the drive, go have a, good time, and get a decent, and just get a better than decent card. Like, have a good card as your FNM promo. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't know what they're thinking. It just doesn't make any sense. It's especially disappointing because it felt like they finally figured it out when we got Fatal Push and Ether Hub and even like Unlicensed Disintegration. Like, we were finally getting good promos again, and then they just end the whole program. And I don't know. Their argument, they released another article today, part of the daily update, where they talked a little bit more about it, and it said, our data shows, basically paraphrasing, our data shows that the promo doesn't actually drive attendance. And they used one specific example, I think January of this year versus July of this year, and that the promos didn't make any difference with attendance. And that just seems so weird to me because I know just from our conversations and from hearing other people talk on social media and stuff, it seems like when there's a Path to Exile or a Fatal Push, people actually do make an effort. Like, it's at very least a tiebreaker. If you're thinking, oh, should I go out to the movies tonight or go to FNM? If you know you can win a sweet, FNM promo, you're more likely to choose FNM. So I don't really buy it. I can't imagine that tokens are really a draw. I think the allure of tokens will wear off quickly. Like, I guess they're kind of cool when you get them as a bonus at a pre-release, but to have that be the only FNM promos for the entire year seems kind of like a stretch. So I don't know. It's just confusing. I don't understand why they would think this was a good idea.
All right, tinfoil hat theory. So when there's a Fatal Push or a Path to Exile, everyone brings out their tier 1 deck because, you gotta win at all costs to get this promo. So by removing the actual prize, now people will play against the odds at FNM, and they'll play whatever jank they want, thus diversifying the metagame.
Well, then you could just change it to, top 8 or whatever. Everyone, you just get a promo.
Just participation prize
what.
now. Just show up at the door and get a Fatal Push.
Yeah. I mean, again, I like the tiebreaker. I love that. It's the tiebreaker. It's just I'm gonna go anyway, and it's just the gravy. Like, or maybe I wanted to do something else, but you know what? It's a great promo every month, so it's always I lean towards just going to Magic. Play Magic at the store. It's always just to tip the scales a little bit to get people to go out and play the game and enjoy. And I just don't get it. Like, the argument is, folks are using this argument like, oh, well, it should just all about be going and having a good time. And normally, again, I'm all about, against like, you can have everything because people, obviously, it's just not realistic. But you can go and have a good time and get a good promo. I just don't understand. Like, that just seems so easy to me. And for a player that's been playing a long time, this is now the second player-driven reward program that they've axed. I get it. Like, mailing stuff, sending cards in the mail and having these textless things, I get it. All right, whatever. You don't want to do that anymore. But FNM promos have been around for a very, very long time. And people, it's kind of like expected now. How do you just get rid of that years later? I mean, I remember FNM promo. FNM promos go so far back.
So, how long till they walk back this change?
They would. I don't know, because they're changing it. I mean, in their view, they're still having something worthwhile to go out and like get something. They're adding the lands additionally in the shadow pack or the showdown packs, and then that token.
Here's my biggest problem with this: there is a large portion of the population that does not care at all about tokens, right? They use like dice, they use like scrap pieces of paper, whatever draft leftovers they found to represent tokens. And to those players, these tokens are actually meaningless. Whereas if you get a Fatal Push, even if, you don't play standard or modern or whatever, it has high value, you can sell it and then get something else. Whereas I don't see these tokens maintaining high value. A lot of people don't care about tokens whatsoever. A lot of people have their own custom tokens, like MTG Goldfish tokens. Go buy some at the store. But like, it's just so weird, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, every Magic player likes Magic cards, right? Because you play cards. Whereas these tokens, not everyone uses. So why would you kind of force this as the new promo?
Yeah, I mean, tokens to me are the thing that I have huge boxes of from buying collections that I can't get rid of and are cluttering up my closet. That's my association with tokens. I did a very informal poll on my Twitter and just asked what people preferred, and there's definitely some token supporters. It's the minority. I think like 18% were in favor of tokens, and some people were very adamant that they really like this change, but I would say the vast majority, 80-ish%, would rather be getting a real Magic card than token. So not scientific, just a poll on my Twitter, but I think that's the general feeling of the community. Like, the card does, everyone can use those, but being someone who cares about tokens is kind of a very specific type of Magic player. Like, not everyone cares about tokens, so it's just a weird thing to make promos of. They could take the Masterpiece series that they're getting rid of in packs, and imagine if they made those FNM promos. How many people would go out to stores if they had, Masterpiece Thoughtseize as the FNM promo? You could do so many cool things with this program. So getting rid of it, or turning it into tokens, which feels like getting rid of it to me, just seems like such a horrible choice.
Again, if you were going to replace it with something better, I understand, but this is just at parity or negative.
Oh, sorry. One question. Did they say what the tokens will be? Like, are they going to be tied to the standard set, or is it just any tokens?
They are all standard sets,
Yeah,
or
they're all
standard
standard
tokens.
Oh, so the same tokens you can get in your packs,
Basically.
Yeah, just foiled.
The
And
other,
double-sided.
I think a lot of people
Wait,
were
did they say
disappointed
new
about
art?
that too.
If it's the same ones that are foil and double-sided, it's gonna be even worse than ever. There better be new art on it.
I don't know if it said new art or not, actually.
I'm assuming there's alternate art. If it's the same art, oh man.
I'm sure a non-zero amount of players, while, I do care about tokens, and it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the change is going to happen regardless, so I could just enjoy what I'm getting for free anyway. But again, that's just kind of the secondary to going and playing. It's just like a bonus. But I think there's a non-zero, and it's probably a large group of players. People can comment. I care about tokens until I actually need them, and then I don't have them. Like, it's always like, oh man, like, I want to make sure when I have a deck, in my deck box, I have like 10 tokens of the stuff I need, and then, like, it's like the first thing you forget. Or you're at a draft and no one actually, the tokens, everyone takes them out, and then you need a token for something, you don't even have the token.
Yeah,
so
but
it's
but then I just walk up to my LGS counter and buy it for 10 cents if I really cared.
Yeah.
Like, at most
It's
of the
not
time
something
you
I
don't
wanna
care, right?
receive.
Most of the
It's
time you just
like-
throw like some dice down and be like, here, right? Or you just flip a card over and say, here's my token, right?
Yeah.
And it's even weirder because a reasonable percentage of people that do care about tokens, from what I was reading on Reddit, they were like, well, I buy, like you said, the goldfish tokens, or I have these custom art tokens that I really like from so-and-so. So even the people that do want tokens don't necessarily view like Wizards official tokens as the tokens they want. It's like a way they can express themselves with cards that aren't officially from Wizards. So they're like, even though I like tokens, I don't especially care about the official tokens. This is my chance to like get these crazy things that I can't do with real Magic cards, because you got to play legit cards from Wizards in your deck, but your tokens can be some crazy art from whoever you want. So I think that's the other problem, is even if you like tokens, you might not really care about these.
I really hate being super negative, and I can't be on board with this. I'm sorry. I just don't think it's a very good change at all. And it's just, it's a long time standing program that, again, I thought that they would just keep going. They got rid of the player rewards thing. That's fine, but this is just, I think, a little too much. I don't think it's a very good move.
I now know that whenever there's a Sunday night announcement,
It's probably bad. Yes.
bad things are happening. But they don't have like a pre-announcement for announcement week, hyping me up for this change. It's probably going to be bad.
Oh, yeah. The timing's definitely weird. That's not their normal printing schedule. And they said, like, something about Japan, like the season starting in Japan, so it had to get published. But even if that was your concern, you could have published it last Friday or Thursday. Like, you didn't have to publish it the hour before it started in Japan. So I don't know. The whole thing was very odd all around.
Yeah, I heard the announcement too when I got I think I was out at the time. Came back. I saw like one of your tweets, Seth, and about some announcement. I'm like, oh, this cannot be. Oh, what did they do this time? Let's answer some fish mail because that always gets us in a better mood.
All right. If you have your questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. First question from Zach Wheels. What if Wizards printed one-color legends with a keyword like partner that lets non-partner legends be partnered?
Oh, no, please.
Ooh. So just like you can have another commander in addition to this, basically mechanic. I think it's probably dangerous and could break things,
Very
but
dangerous.
I kind of want to see it. I think it could be interesting, but it's probably a horrible idea and would be busted.
If there was only some way to force something, I don't like the fact that just basically means any card can be a commander now, and the legend that you use to enable this, you just don't play that color, right? So it just basically lets you play any card as a commander, which I don't like, but I do like the idea of making certain older cards be partnerable, like just on Joralf or something like that, right? So I do like that idea, but I don't know if you can just do it like this, because that just lets you play any card as your commander.
Like the brothers Yamazaki and like Kamigawa.
Yeah, that one should definitely be partnered.
Yeah.
Like just the actual mechanic on that suggests that they should be partnered. I'd be on board with that. Like just maybe the commander community could just do that. Just like announce that certain cards are partnered for the sake of commander now.
Yeah. At the same time, the partner ability is really, really overpowered. It's really good.
All right, next question. Logan Loves Racing. Do you think Wizards will ever print a 5-color Commander Super Friends precon?
Ooh. Just its own supplemental product?
Yeah,
Certainly,
or as part of Commander 2019 or whatever. Just a Super Friends precon.
It's definitely something that could happen. It's a non-zero chance, I think.
I think it's 0. There's no way they would pack
really?
like their best cards, basically, because you have to put like 10, 20 planeswalkers, 30 planeswalkers in there. They wouldn't.
I think there's enough planeswalker fodder to get it.
Tybalt 1, Tybalt 2.
Tybalt 1, like Dovin Bond, like the Arlen Cord, like the sub like $5.
I think maybe there's a better chance of doing like. Do you remember the Modern Event deck or something like that? Like a standalone product that was sold for like a lot more than what a Commander deck sold for. I think it was like $70, $80. So maybe there's a way you can make a more expensive like one-off precon for it. But I don't think you can stuff 20 Planeswalkers in a $35 Commander deck. I don't think that would fly.
What if they put 20 Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers in there?
Oh,
that could work.
Hey,
but
now
the
we're
deck
onto
wouldn't.
something.
I don't know if you'd want to play that
for consistency. Come on.
I still think what's that new Nissa Genesis whatever
Mage.
Genesis Mage. I'm holding out. I think it's decent.
It's just
decent.
like every Planeswalker deck Planeswalker and every individual tutor, so you have to search for each specific one at a time. Oh man. Okay, I'm down with that.
All right, next question from Kia Juverser. What about foil, the card foil, being printed in Modern? Is it too good? If not, what can make a mono blue control deck good in Modern? What does foil do?
Foil's from Prophecy.
Yes.
It's 2 generic and 2 blue.
Yes.
Something. I know it's just counter target spell, and then there's like a condition. Is it like return an island? No, return or is it like Force of Will? What is it?
It's sort of like Force of Will. Everything you said was right, but the alternate casting cost is discard an island and another card from your hand, and you can play it for free.
I think that could work.
It's close. I mean, Force of Will already is pretty painful, and this is even more painful. You got a 3-for-1 yourself, I guess. You got to discard 2 cards. So I think that might be about the right level for Force of Will, or the modern version of Force of Will.
Yeah.
It would probably be pretty
similar. You
similar.
don't even need Force of Will in Modern. There's nothing like so fast that you can't just leave up 1 or 2 mana to counter.
Don't you have? I think everyone forgets about this card. Don't we have that card from Betrayers? Is it Betrayers?
Shoal or
yeah,
whatever?
Disrupting Shoal. Isn't that like very similar? If you really needed something like that.
The problem with that one is you exile a blue card, but it only counters something with that card's converted mana cost.
Yeah,
if it was like that cost or less, but it's actually really hard to counter something with it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, like Richard said, like a year or two ago, I would be more concerned with this, but since they printed Fatal Push and banned Gitaxian Probe, we actually see a lot less of the super fast, like, in fact, the all-in Deathrite Shaman decks that we're killing on turn 2. So I don't know if a Force of Will is as necessary now as it was a couple of years ago when you were regularly dying on turn 2 or turn 3 to something degenerate. That doesn't really happen as much as it used to.
All right. Next question from Juan Garcia 202. Which of the defeat cycle will see the most play in Standard?
Probably right now, Gideon.
Just to kill Gideon?
Yeah. Hey, what is it, Game 5 life?
Yeah, I think Gideon.
Yeah.
I think Gideon's probably the most powerful one.
Yeah.
Maybe the red one,
I think
if like Chandra is on the uptick.
Yeah, it really.
I think
really
you just gotta
depends
actually
on...
use the second clause of killing a planeswalker. So whatever planeswalker is most prevalent in Standard, like that's the defeat to use.
Yeah. Although, isn't Gideon's defeat still like exile a creature?
White creature.
White
yeah.
creature.
White creature. Yeah.
Attacking your blocking creature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I think they're all playable, actually. It just depends on the meta. But I think that they will all, except maybe the green one, see play at some point in their Standard life.
That's what you think. The Genesis mage.
You play your 6th drop, and I played this as defeat.
Oh no. Oh.
Next question from PJosaur. I'm sure this has been answered before, but why is Scoops the fish called Scoops? Because that's his name. There is no real reason. That's just a cool name that someone suggested, and perhaps he scoops prematurely a lot. I don't know. Takes after Seth. Quilted Train. What does the cast think of the idea of no art basics, much like energy cards in Pokemon?
Sure.
I think it could happen in the next unglued set.
No art basics. Oh, yeah.
As a joke, because you know how everyone wants like the full art lands, and they're just like, no, here's some no art lands, but they'd be losing so much like opportunity. So I don't know that they would actually do that, but it's just too weird. I think people always love full art. I don't think they would take this risk of printing no art lands.
Well, they just got rid of FNM promos, so you never know.
They're like, hey, we don't have to commission artists for the art. These cards get significantly cheaper. And most people don't even know what the art looks like, so we might as well just replace it with like a Magic logo. Next question. Toveri Colgate. Do you think Moto gets shortcuts to paper magic in the future? Bomberman combo with Lodestone Bauble loses to time.
Oh, man. I don't know enough about programming. I know they're heading in that direction and have made strides to making it less clicks to combo off, but I don't know enough about the back end of Moto to know how far they can go. I don't know if it's possible to just be like, I have this loop, I want to do it 100 times, click a button, I did it 100 times.
I'm gonna say there's like zero chance they do this. of like things to fix with Moto, like I think this is pretty low down on the list in their priorities, and it's such like a weird edge case. Because they try to avoid infinite combos and whatnot in Standard, which is what they focus on, so I doubt they would actually spend any time on this. You know, they should probably make the cards actually just work first, and then, you know, make the user interface nice and stuff like that, so I cannot see them doing this. Next question from KC Metronome. Old timer getting back in. Play mats baffle me. Why use one, and why should my first one be Scoops as a dragon? Because
Scoops is awesome. I think you said that earlier in the cast, Richard, and I think it applies here too, that it's not just for like, I guess, protecting your cards from, you know, various tabletops, but it's almost like expressing yourself in a way. And for me, I mean, playmats have honestly, I mean, I've talked to and met players and have formed friendships over a playmat. I mean, it's almost like a conversation piece sometimes.
Yeah, for me, the biggest reason is not protection. Like, I guess if you play in like a bar or something, it's like useful. But most of the time, if you play at your LGS, their tables are clean. It's the ease of picking up cards. If you play with like cards on a hard table, it's actually very hard to pick up the cards. But with a playmat, since the playmat can be pushed down, it's very easy to pick up cards. And I know a lot of people have expressed that too. So usually the actual practical reason for a playmat is to pick up cards.
I don't have strong feelings, but I like the Scoops art. I think the dragon is my favorite Scoops token art, so you should get that one if you're going to get one.
One more minor point, I like that the mat also kind of dictates where my kind of play area is. I kind of like, being organized like that.
Oh, you don't like it when people all aggro and they like go to attacks and like put all their cards on your play mat. Just like it's the red zone, man. It's the red zone. Just like
that's what it's there for. But I mean, I don't mind that. But yeah, it just definitely cleans up the play area, I think, too.
And as you're winning, you slowly press your cards forward to show it to your opponent. The next question from the Demco. I think Commander 2018 will have other generals in each deck, so other tribes can be played or can be made with deck lists. I'm very confused. Commander 2017?
Oh, wait, are they saying
no, the following one.
Oh.
Like, they might continue the theme in this set in the next set, too.
Oh. So they keep doing tribal theme for 2018 as well.
Wait, so are they saying there'll be like an off-tribe legendary creature in your deck so that you can make more decks?
Like it'll be a different theme, but they'll insert like a legendary creature that may be an off-tribe commander.
Yeah, they usually do that. They usually give you some options for changing your deck around by like switching your commander or whatever. So I can totally see that happening.
And didn't we already get, like, a cat dragon in the dragon deck and a cat deck? So you can kind of, like... So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that type of crossover where you can kind of, like, use one of the legends to mash two decks together, sort of the 2017 versions.
Yep. Next question from Rag3249. What is the most powerful of your favorite 2-card combos, legal and standard, right now?
Oh, man.
I think Torrential Gearhulk and Commit to Memory is still a really good 2-card combo.
Paradoxical Outcome and Aetherflux Reservoir? Maybe? I don't know. That's not, like, really a 2-card combo, because you gotta bounce, like, 10 artifacts to make it work. Yeah. I can't think of any just 2-card game-winning combos right now.
Aetherworks Marvel Emrakul? Nope. Aetherworks Marvel Ulamog? Nope.
Felidar Guardian and Sahili-Rai? Nope. A lot of them have been banned.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Wizards is fond of 2-card combos. So, my best combo is probably the new mono red combo of the 2 deserts. That's some sweet synergy. 5 damage on 2 lands.
That is pretty awesome.
Still really liking that. But I guess that's just synergy. That's not really a combo.
I think, speaking of combos, someone top 16'd one of the tournaments this week playing Ronas' Last Stand into Always Watching. And it's like the opposite of a combo. Because Always Watching only pumps non-tokens.
Oh!
So
that's a great combo right there.
Yeah, so that's the worst combo.
That shows the strength of the deck. They don't even need this interaction to win. It's just like so good it doesn't matter.
I wonder how they paid for the Always Watching on turn 3. That was definitely interesting. I'd love to see that.
Next question from Paradoxical Data. What card from Hour has your favorite art? Mine is Wildfire Eternal. My foil copy is absolutely beautiful.
Ooh.
Who even remembers most of the art on Hours?
Does this include invocations?
Sure, why not?
I think the Thoughtseize looks really awesome. I also think Crested Sunmare looks pretty sweet.
I'm going to go with Dark Horse choice. Endless Sands, I think, is pretty sweet.
Oh,
the sun rising over the desert. The card's not great, but the art I really like. And Noah Bradley art, by the way.
Yes.
I like Opposition. Opposition is like
Opposition's a cool one.
Bunch of people getting swarmed by locusts.
Could have liked the Avatar of Woe, but we'll just leave it at
that. Next question from Abhinav Jane 87. What do you think the best time to sell Eldritch Moon cards like Collected Brutality? Have an extra playset I got cheap.
That is certainly one I would keep because I don't think that card will be decreasing drastically. Might decrease a little bit, but it's a bona fide staple in Modern, and it's just one of those cards that I just don't think will take a hit and will continue to increase.
Yeah, I agree. It's not even really played in Standard.
No,
at least
it's
not
not.
significantly. So I think it's already at its current price because of Modern. So I'm not too worried about it going down. But other cards from the set you should sell now. If they're Standard cards that are propped up by Standard, you should have already sold them, but sell them as soon as possible.
Yeah. Other than that, just general like EDH staples, maybe even Grim Flare I might hold on to just because it does see some play in Modern, but that probably still has room to go down to decrease as well. So, but definitely hold on to Collective Brutality.
Next question from Does It Resolve? How playable is Solemnity as a sideboard card against decks like Green Black Energy, Teamer Energy, and Blue Red Control?
It's very good. I think it's worth playing in sideboards of white decks if Green, Black, and Teamer Energy are the top tier of the format. I want it in my sideboard.
Absolutely. It does really take the wind out of the sails of a lot of the threats in the decks, more particularly the Bristling Hydra, which can be really hard to deal with otherwise. If they have no energy, it's just it's still a decent creature, but nowhere near the threat it is with energy.
All right, next question from Kan Chenman. How do you feel about Depala in competitive EDH? Turn 2 Smuggler's Copter seems sweet. Plus, Leave to Chance and Saram.
This is a you question, Richard. I mean, I think it's a good card. I just never really tried it. What do you think?
I really like
you
Depala in a dwarf deck,
Oh, okay.
but like a casual dwarf deck. I don't see how this can go up against, if you're talking about, like, say, the 1v1 Moto metagame, I don't think it's fast enough. I don't think Depala does enough. But in just a regular dwarf deck, a casual dwarf deck, I think she's super awesome. Next question from BD8802. Sounds like many stores are not opening Hour of Devastation. Will this make Hour cards that spike in the future Standard spike even harder?
Short answer, yes. And maybe even the invocations as well that might be sought after, because I mean that's still less chances to get the invocations, and just all the way down the line. I mean, if cards are played, you can expect a larger increase in cards. Not only and just because they'll be in demand and not a lot has been opened, but because the EV is already pretty low as it is. So if not a lot of folks are opening or stores are opening this product, yeah, you can expect that.
Yep, I agree.
All right, last question from @CrushNJ. Switching from Green White Tron to Eldrazi Tron, should I wait on Chalice of the Void in case of Iconic Masters / 25 Masters reprint?
Yeah, that is crept up a lot. I don't know. I mean, again, iconic can mean a lot of things, but I don't even like a loose interpretation of iconic. I don't know if Chalice of the Void fits in there, but then who knows about the 25 Masters reprint? That could be a good spot for it. Yeah, I think the wait and see approach before going in on this card is probably a good idea, because it is pretty expensive, and with a reprint, I do expect the card to decrease pretty drastically.
I think it depends on how bad you want to play and how often you will play the deck, because I think it is a really important piece of Eldrazi Tron.
True.
So maybe stick with normal Tron until after you see what's in those sets. I think there is some % chance that it gets reprinted, because those sets are going to need value, and I think that right now it's one of the highest value cards in Modern, I believe. Chalice of the Void is super expensive.
Yeah.
So I think there's an outside chance that they print it just for that reason. So I don't know. Bear it in mind. If you really want to play Eldrazi Tron right now and play like GPs and stuff, you probably have to just bite the bullet and hope for the best. The other option is to try to get the Masterpiece edition. Like, what do you think of that, Jazz? Getting the Masterpieces as a way to hedge against a reprinting.
Yes, I do like that. I do like that a lot, actually. Yeah, I'd say that's a good way to reprint proof yourself, because while it might drop it a couple points, that's the invocations and the Masterpiece series entirely is kind of in its own kind of bubble. So yeah, that's actually a really good idea. And what's that said? If you're playing this deck week in and week out, then I do think grabbing it regardless is probably good value, because you're just playing the deck constantly.
All right, that's all of our fish meal for this week. Thanks everyone for sending them in.
Awesome. Well, any last thoughts out the door? All right. Great week, gentlemen. Great podcast, everyone. That's going to wrap it up for this week. This is the MTG Goldfish crew signing out. We will see you all next time.